Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us again for another week of mobile apps and social media. Today we're going to continue our work on Twitter and we are going to take a look at how to create an account. We're also going to take a look at how to browse around Twitter and use many of the really useful tools that you have available on this awesome website. What you're seeing right now is actually the splash page of Twitter. So I've taken some time and I've gone on to www.twitter.com and I've received this website as the homepage for Twitter. And as you can see, it has some brief things of what's trending. Again, the things that are trending, that's very important for Twitter. It's one of those websites that really focuses on showing you what is the most popular thing that people are talking about on the internet and what's the latest news that's happening on the internet. So as you can see, if we browse around the website, that we have the iconic Twitter logo on the upper left hand side. Here you have Explore, you have Settings, and here you have a couple of tabs across the top that are for you, trending, news, sports, and entertainment. You also have a search bar here on the very top. Here on the very bottom, you also have a couple of things that are trending. If you could just take some time, we're going to take a look at what's trending. It looks like currently we have a news story regarding Monterey Park. We also have UFC trending discussion, Dipset, Bye Bye Muta, Andrade, a story about Beyonce. As you scroll down, that there's more trending, and not only does it show you what's trending in the United States, but it specifies, you see, it says trending in the United States, and we see what's trending in entertainment, what's trending in politics, trending in the United States, again, sports, things like that. Here on the very top, you have the latest news from NFL. And just recently, the Philadelphia Eagles just won against the Giants, which is a pretty big accomplishment for the Eagles. So if we go further down, you see who to follow, and you have a couple of suggestions. You see some of their latest tweets as well. So we have the World Health Organization. We also have CDC, Center for Global Development, etc. Here under NFL players, we have just some posts that are being posted that are popular right now. As you go further down, more posts from different people. Some of these would be this is just the results that Twitter is giving me without having to log in. This is just stuff that anyone would generally get when they log into when they visit the website. So this is under For You. Under trending, we have more information, news, sports, entertainment, etc. If we click on Explore, let's go ahead and click on that. So we get very similar results. Here on the very top, you could search for anything that you'd like to search for. So let's say if you're really interested in maybe the town that you live in and you want to see what's trending at your town. So let me just type in my town. So I live in Ontario, California. Let's see. You have a couple of things here. If we press enter, that there's a couple of things happening here, and these are the latest tweets for Ontario, and you could just browse through there. Let's say, what if we wanted to take a look at Orange, California, or Orange County for that matter? And we have a couple of results here, some news stories. So since there's many different Orange counties in the United States, we could do California. Okay, and you have a couple of latest trends, latest posts from Orange County, and this is interesting to see. Let's see as we go further down. You have various posts about a variety of things. And so you could actually, when you visit Twitter, you could browse around and whatever really interests you, you could search for. You could search for people, you could search for news, what have you, and it'll return a result for you. So this is just one of the nice benefits of Twitter. So one of the things that we wanted to take a look at today is how to create an account. And creating an account is very simple. It doesn't take much time. Essentially, you have to look at the upper right hand corner, and here you have new to Twitter section, and right here it says you could sign in with a Gmail account. So if you have a Gmail account already, you could just select this option here and and just follow through with those steps to complete that. If you have an Apple account, you have sign up with Apple, which will just make your process faster. If you just want to create an account in general, you could click on create an account, and I'm going to actually click on that right now so we could just follow those steps, and it opens up this wizard here. So the wizard has, I call it a wizard, but I don't think it's officially called that. Whenever you have a step process with technology, they typically refer to that as a wizard because it guides you through the steps that you need to do to achieve something. And in this case, if we want to achieve getting an account, you have to walk through the steps, step 1 through 5, in order to do something like that. Right here we have this wizard, so to speak, that we could work with, and it's going to ask us for a couple of things. It's going to ask us for a username, and then also a phone number, and then also your date of birth. If you wish to use an email instead, you could do that, and you could go through that process. So I'm going to go ahead and enter my name, and this is not a username, but it's just your first and last name. And let's try my telephone number, and hopefully that should do it. I'm going to change up my name a little bit, so I'm going to just type in a junior in there. Then I'm going to enter some information here. There you go. And you go ahead and push next. And it's going to walk you through step 2, which talks about customize your experience. So track where you see Twitter content across the web. Twitter uses this data to personalize your experience. This web browsing history will never be stored with your name, email, or phone number, and you actually have the option to check box that or uncheck it, and it really is your option. But essentially that question, it's allowing Twitter to review your browser history to see what type of things you would be interested in, and so it kind of creates this type of experience for you just by looking at your internet history. So you do have the option of in or out. Okay, so it's really your call. When you sign up for Twitter, you could make that option or make that decision. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and opt in. And now we're on step 3, and create your account. Okay, very similar to previous. So just sign up, and it's going to ask you to verify using your phone. And I'm pretty sure that this is an option that happens because I signed up with my telephone number. If you're going to set up this Twitter account with your email address, it might send you an email verification to you. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK, and then I'm going to wait. I have my phone here, so I'm just going to wait for that confirmation number, and there it is. It sent it off to me, and so I just have to type that in. And if you don't receive the SMS number, just click on this and it should help you out. Okay, so we're on step 4 of 5, so we're almost to the end. Okay, so I've encountered a brief snag, but I've gone ahead and logged in with my other account. So I have an idea that perhaps since I've entered my telephone number in there, it should it probably noticed that it was a duplicate, and so it wasn't letting me move forward. But right now we're logged into my Twitter account, and so as you can see, this is what you get when you log in, and you have a couple of things that are showing up here. So here on the very left hand side, you again have the Twitter icon, and then you have home, explore, notifications, messages, bookmarks, Twitter Blue, profile, and then more. Then you also have a large blue button that gives you the option to tweet. So we're gonna also take a look at the middle part of the page, which has your timeline, and you have items that Twitter is suggesting for you. So it's indicating you might like this, and then as you scroll down, you get more results, and you could look through the many different posts that are here on Twitter. And so if you want to interact with some post here, you could take a look at maybe this one here, and that this is actor Henry Winkler, and you have a couple of his posts. You could take a look at some of the things that he's recently posted, and not only that, but you also have suggestions on who else to follow if you like to follow Henry Winkler. So right here you have Ron Howard. If you hover your mouse over it, you get a brief of his page. So you have a picture of, you have his name, this blue badge, which is Twitter Blue. This essentially means that the account has been verified, and there's a certain amount of money that you have to pay in order to get this blue check mark. But as you can see, this is at a premium. This kind of verifies that you're an actual person behind the other screen, and so it verifies that this account is not just some computerized account or a robot. And here you have a bio on the person, and how many are following, he's following, and how many people are following him. Okay, so right here it indicates that he has 2.5 million followers, so that's a lot. Okay, so as you go further down, you get other similar comedians. So you have Steve Martin and Christina Applegate, so that you could follow them as well. And so these are people that have a history of being on sitcoms and being comedians, and it makes that recommendation. If you just want to follow one of these people, you could just click follow, and now every time that they post something on Twitter, it'll show up on your timeline, and you'll be able to review what they've posted, and it just shows up, so you don't have to look around or click multiple places to get the results of what they've posted. So earlier we talked about Twitter Blue, this Twitter Blue check mark, and this is related directly with this Twitter Blue item on the left. So if you click on that, it gives you more information about Twitter Blue, and as you can see, it has several benefits. And as you can see, it also charges you $7 a month for that blue check mark, and it also has monthly plans as well. So it could be like a subscription that It's not required, but if you just want this little blue check mark, it could it you could add it that way. Okay, so it's mainly a method to verify that your account is the actual person's account. Okay, so yeah, we browsed through and we actually followed another our first person. So as you go and browse through Twitter, you could continue adding. You could continue following people. You could click on this to reply to their message. So if you click on that, it opens up this little window where you could reply. And here on the very bottom, you have a box where you could type your reply. And you also have options here to include media, GIFs, and by GIFs, it's mainly these options to include short videos that kind of capture an emotion or something. If you would like to include agree, awe, or deal with it, or dance, or applaud, it does give you some suggestions, and you could search for different GIFs as well, so you're not always just restricted to these. But if you click on something like this, you get further options, and so you can look at different options. And I think the big idea here is to be a little bit humorous. So you could click on that, and as you can see, it plops in this short video, and you could add additional items here. It just helps you express yourself. So here you also have options for polls, and for polls you could pose a question to people on Twitter, and you could include your choices and include how long you want the poll length to be. So if you want it to be 1 day, if you want it to be hours or minutes, you could do any of these, and you could just ask people questions on Twitter, and they could just respond to your questions. So you do have options for polls. You have options for emojis. So emojis are your typical emojis. You have options for, and let's see, I want to remove this poll, so let's get rid of that. You could schedule your post. So here you don't have to post your messages immediately, but you could just add a date or a time in which you want to post it, and you could that helps you coordinate your messages on Twitter. So here you could include a tweet, and tweets are generally pretty short, so they're not very long. You could maybe say, this is surprising, or you could just do something else. And then when you're all done, you could hit reply, and then it posts as a reply to Henry Winkler. And so I don't necessarily want to post anything. I just want to show you how to type within here, but just show you what are your options. So as you work with Twitter, you could explore these options further, because I really didn't have much time to explore these in full length. But I did want to let you know that here on the Twitter message, you do have options to include web addresses. As we learned earlier, you do have options to include hashtag. And once you type it in, it makes suggestions for you. And hashtags are generally a way for you to categorize a message with a certain category, with a certain topic. So it's generally used for that purpose. If you want to do mentions, you could do @ and then type in the person that you'd like to at or mention. It's completely your options. So as you can see, it makes several suggestions here. And so if you were to click on a person, it includes their name. And so they'll also on their side get this little notification saying that someone has added, someone has mentioned their name with a certain post. So you have those options. Okay, so that's essentially how you respond. As we look over here, you have retweet. And so this is just a way that you could share it as well with the people that you have as your followers. So if you retweet it and another person retweets it, the message just gains more magnitude and it just is shared widely. And so retweeting, it's kind of like forwarding to the people that follow you. If you want to like something, you could hit and it'll add on to the number here of people that have liked the message. And then finally here under view, I believe that this is an indicator of how many people have viewed this message. And so as you can see, 800,000 people have viewed this, and it's been seen by many eyes. So it's really interesting. Just a message on Twitter could just reach so many people. It just has that potential as a website. If we take a look at share, it gives you options for sharing this tweet. So you could copy link to tweet. And so with this link, you could post it somewhere else, whether it be on your other social media or your personal website, and it'll show up there. Share tweet via. And so let's see what that's all about. So here you could include to your Facebook, to your other types of other types of apps. You could use this to share to other locations. Okay, and then finally, send via direct message. What this does is it adds it to direct messages, and then you can send it to a person privately, and perhaps afterwards you can have a discussion about this tweet with the other person or persons that you've shared with through direct messages. And let's see what that looks like. So we click on here and then we type in to someone, and you add a comment, and you could hit this little submit button to send it off. Okay, I'm not going to send this off because I don't think it's necessary, but this is just a way that you could interact with people and send people tweets that you find are interesting or funny or noteworthy. Okay, so we took a look at most of the tools that are located here on the very bottom. And as you can see, every tweet is going to have those same options. Here under the X, firstly, the X indicates that you want to dismiss a tweet. And so if this doesn't really interest you, you could click on X and it goes away. Here under the X, you have 3 dots. Usually in technology, whenever you see 3 dots, it means that there is more options here. And so let's see what this has to offer. And here we have not interested in, you might like, not interested in this tweet. And so these first 2 are very important because it helps Twitter understand what you don't want to see on your time feed or in your feed timeline. So it tells Twitter what you're not really interested in seeing on your timeline. And so this is how you could fine tune your Twitter so that it's a little bit more catered to your interests. So you have options to follow Henry Winkler. You have options to add, remove from list. You could mute, which essentially means that you just put a mute on those messages coming from that person and you no longer see that. You could block, which means that you've completely just blocked off that person. So there's options for that. And what this does, it not only blocks the messages from the person, but the person won't be able to view that you exist on Twitter. And so that's an option there. Here you have embed tweet, and whenever you embed a tweet into another location, it's generally going to be a website. And so whenever you click on embed tweet, you get this, it's going to show up like this. And you just have to copy the code and then go onto your website to paste that code, that HTML code. It does it all for you, and it makes it easier for you to embed certain posts. Okay, if you're embedding positive reviews for your business, for example, you could embed it that way. Okay. So yeah, generally this is a brief run through of how you could interact with tweets, and all tweets they all have that same type of ability. Okay, let's take a look. We took a look at Explorer before. Notifications. You have notifications that are generally applicable to the things that you're following. You could take a look at notifications, and again, all across the top you have all verified and mentions. So nothing to see here, but if I did have a mention, or one or two, or if someone added me to my account as a mention, I would see it here. Under verified, there's nothing here either. So these are notifications. Here under messages, you have your inbox, and here you get messages that you only see. So these are the messages that are not public, and these are messages that you could have with your friends, and so you could chat with your friends and you could write messages here. So let's take a look at what this looks like. So here you have welcome to your inbox, drop a line, share tweets with more private conversations between you and others on Twitter. And then here you have select a message, choose from your existing conversations, start a new one, or just keep swimming. Okay, so if we click here, we get an option to just search for more people that we could send a message to, and we could send a message to, some of these are grayed out, so that means you can't send messages to those people. But if you had friends on Twitter, you could select them from here, and you could send people messages here. Click on next, and here on this side you have options to include media, GIFs, and then emojis. And then you can write messages, and once you send this off, the person will receive the message. So I'm not going to go ahead and send that, but essentially this is how it works. As you receive more messages, you could see that there's going to be more here, and you could select from the different ones and continue conversations. Let's take a look. So that's a pretty good overview of messages. Let's take a look at bookmarks. And bookmarks give you the ability to save tweets for later. So you could always so these are like your favorites, so you can always come back to them later, and you'll have those tweets here. Okay, and then finally, we already talked about Twitter Blue. Let's take a look at profile. So this is my profile, and this is just a very basic profile I just put together really quickly just to give you an overview of Twitter. As you can see, we have a picture of me here, we have this background picture, and we also have a couple of things here. If you want to edit anything that's here, you click on edit profile, and you do have options here. So you could change your name, you could change your bio, you could change your location, you could add a website if you'd like, and here you could change your birthday, and it also gives you an option to switch to professional, which is just a different type of Twitter account. So it's professional Twitter account is just completely different. And let's see if we click on that. Twitter for professionals. So it essentially gives you access to tools you need to better connect with your audience, grow your brand, and increase your profits. So by tapping, you agree to continue. And I think if you continue with this, it'll just take you to like a professional type of Twitter where it'll have items more catered to being able to interact with people as a company, or take a look at statistics a little bit better, or pay for advertisements, things like that. Okay, everything is customizable here. Okay, so you could just switch your profile. Here you could add photos. You could add photos here as well. And then once you're all done, you hit save. Okay, so essentially that's the nuts and bolts of working with Twitter. When you create your Twitter account, you could explore things a little bit further and get to interact with it. And I think that's where a lot of the fun comes in, when you interact with your friends, when you interact with other people, and have conversations and stay in touch. I think that's the most important. When you go on Twitter, I want you to have a lot of fun and just explore these different tools, and make the most of the social media aspect of Twitter. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me on this brief overview. I hope that you have a chance to take a look at Twitter and that you enjoy using it. Okay, so have a good night.